This video presents some of the different questions that were posed to Sam Altman, who's the CEO of OpenAI. I'm going to give reactions to some of the questions that were posed to him. And there were some pretty good questions from the ABC News. I'm going to put a link in the description as well as here. And it's going to be really good as far as how he gives some of the information. Some of it he kind of avoids a little bit, but that's normal. But he talks about a lot of different aspects of ChatGPT, how it deals with sort of some of the different issues associated with it, as well as things like the upcoming elections and even jobs, as well as education specifically.
Why put this out for the world to start playing with, to start using, when we don't know where this is heading?
You mean like why develop AI at all?
Why develop AI in the first place? And then why put it out for the world to use before we know that we are safeguarded, that those guardrails are in place already?
This will be the greatest technology humanity has yet developed. We can all have an incredible educator in our pocket that's customized for us, that helps us learn, that helps us do what we want. We can have medical advice for everybody that is beyond what we can get today. We can have creative tools that help us figure out the new problems we want to solve, wonderful new things to co-create with this technology for humanity. We have this idea of a co-pilot, this tool that today we help people write computer code and they love it. We can have that for every profession.
That was an interesting answer there, where he talks about developing ChatGPT and future aspects of it where it can be worked as a co-pilot that's functioning right now as far as being able to write code, but he's envisioning it to have a ChatGPT that could function for every single profession. Now, that's really important for us as educators, because we need to understand if this is going to be the new reality going forward, where you have a co-pilot, regardless of your profession, that you'll be able to use. Well, then we need to start thinking about how we can develop that skill and that capability within our students now so that they can function better within their jobs in the future.
You raise an important point, which is the humans who are in control of the machine right now also have a huge amount of power.
We do worry a lot about authoritarian governments developing this.
Putin has himself said whoever wins this artificial intelligence race is essentially the controller of humankind. Do you agree with that?
So that was a chilling statement for sure. What I hope instead is that we successively develop more and more powerful systems that we can all use in different ways, that get integrated into our daily lives, into the economy, and become an amplifier of human will, but not this autonomous system that is
the single controller essentially got.
Really don't want that.
What should people not be using it for right now?
The thing that I try to caution people the most is what we call the hallucinations problem. The model will confidently state things as if they were facts that are entirely made up. And the more you use the model, because it's right so often, the more you come to just rely on it and not check like, this is just a language model.
I really like the fact that he didn't try to cover this up. There are still issues with hallucinations. So even though GPT-4 is much better, it's like 40% increase in its capability to give the correct answer, there are still issues with hallucinations. The reliability is a little bit over 80% now with GPT-4, which is great, but just like what he talked about, there's still problems, there's still some hallucinations, but the majority of the time it will be correct. So that's great in general. The issue with that, the fact that it's actually correct most of the time, is that will lead so many people to having this over-reliance on AI. Oh, it's usually right, so I can trust it, I can go along with it. But of course, there's a big danger in that. So that's where we have to step in, and we have to make sure that all of our students understand that no, regardless of how perfect the AI eventually gets, even if it's at 100%, we still have to have that AI literacy. That still has to be a key part in our understanding and in our capability to work with the AI. So that means using the critical thinking to ensure that we're checking to make sure that the information given is correct, is that it's logical, and that it's proper for the prompts that were posed to it. So that's going to be an ongoing important part, this AI literacy.
All of these capabilities could wipe out millions of jobs. If a machine can reason then what do you need a human for?
A lot of stuff, it turns out. One of the things that we are trying to push the technology trajectory towards, and also the way we build these products, is to be a tool for humans, an amplifier of humans. And if you look at the way people use ChatGPT, there's a pretty common arc where people hear about it the first time, they're a little bit dubious, and then someone tells them about something, and then they're a little bit afraid. And then they use it. I see how this can help me. I see how this is a tool that helps me do my job better. And with every great technological revolution in human history, although it has been true that the jobs change a lot, some jobs even go away, and I'm sure we'll see a lot of that here. Human demand for new stuff, human creativity is limitless, and we find new jobs, we find new things to do. They're hard to imagine from where we sit today. I certainly don't know what they'll be, but I think the future will have all sorts of wonderful new things we do that you and I can't even really imagine today. So the speed of the change that may happen here is the part that I worry about the most. But if this happens, in a single-digit number of years, some of these shifts, that is the part I worry about the most. And in fact, I think we will need to figure out ways to slow down this technology over time.
Yeah, so the whole idea of ChatGPT, AI in general, causing millions of people to lose their jobs, that's a big issue. That's a big issue. Of course, people will have to adapt and they'll have to change jobs, get retrained. But it's important for us in academia to realize as well. We have to understand that AI is here. AI is affecting so many different professions, so many different fields. So we have to ensure that we are forward thinking, that we're understanding how is our field going to be changed in the near future and in the far future. How can we start to adapt and incorporate different things as far as AI is concerned so that we can help our students to be better able to work with the AI in the future, work with AI when they graduate, even if it's a matter of continuing on with academia, right? Working with AI to enhance research, to be able to do more, to be able to do things that in the past weren't even possible. So again, we really need to be forward thinking with this aspect as well.
2024, the next major election in the United States, might not be on everyone's mind, but it certainly is on yours. Is this technology going to have the kind of impact that maybe social media has had on previous elections? And how can you guarantee there won't be those kind of problems because of ChatGPT?
We don't know is the honest answer. We're monitoring very closely. And again, we can take it back. We can turn things off. We can change the rules.
Yes, this is a major deal. In the last election, social media had a huge influence. So it's only now where it's starting to come out as far as how much it actually impacted it. And it did. It impacted a lot. Most people aren't really aware, but it's a huge issue, especially in that a majority of people get their news from social media. So the people that control social media will be able to have a huge amount of control on what people think. In the same way, the people that control AI will be able to really control a lot of the way people think and view certain things. We have to be aware of that. We have to really understand that and ensure that our students fully understand that as well. So again, we come all the way back to AI literacy once again, in that it is vital for the students to know AI literacy. When I talk about AI literacy, there's several different aspects. I'm going to make a video specifically about it later, but a key part of it is critical thinking. Critical thinking that involves multiple things. One of them is just being aware that I am being influenced, aware that am I being over-reliant on the AI, aware of the information that it's giving me. So we have to use this critical thinking to ensure that it's logical, but also to ensure that we are always looking out for bias. Is there bias in what the AI is giving me? Is there bias in the information sources that it uses? Is there bias in the way that it's processing information in order to give me a result? So AI literacy is going to play a key role in so many different aspects dealing with AI in general.
Elon Musk was an
Yes.
early investor in your company. He's since left. He has called out some of the ChatGPT inaccuracies, and he tweeted recently, "What we need is truth GPT." Is he right?
I think he is right in that we want these systems to tell the truth, but I don't know the full context of that tweet, and I suspect, I don't think I know what it's referring to enough.
Do you and he speak anymore?
We do.
And what does he say to you off the Twitter?
I have tremendous respect for Elon. Obviously we have some different opinions about how AI should go, but I think we fundamentally agree on more than we disagree on.
What do you think you agree most about?
That getting this technology right and figuring out how to navigate the risks is super important to the future of humanity.
How will you know if you got it right?
One simple way is if most people think they're much better off than they were before we put the technology out into the world, that would be an indication we got it right.
When it comes to schools, you have this technology can beat most humans at the SATs, the bar exam. How should schools be integrating this technology in a way that doesn't increase cheating, that doesn't increase laziness among students?
Education is going to have to change, but it's happened many other times with technology. When we got the calculator, the way we taught math and what we tested students on, that totally changed. The promise of this technology, one of the ones that I'm most excited about, is the ability to provide individual learning, great individual learning for each student. You're already seeing students using ChatGPT for this in a very primitive way to great success. And as companies take our technology and create dedicated platforms for this kind of learning, I think it will revolutionize education. And I think that kids that are starting the education process today, by the time they graduate from high school, are going to be like smarter and more capable than we can imagine.
It's a little better than a TI-85.
It's a little better.
But it does put a lot of pressure on teachers to read. For example, if they've assigned an essay, 3 of their students use ChatGPT to write that essay, how are they going to figure that out?
I've talked to a lot of teachers about this, and it is true that it puts pressure in some ways, but for an overworked teacher to be able to say, hey, go use ChatGPT to learn this concept that you're struggling with and just sort of talk back and forth. One of the new things that we showed yesterday in the GPT-4 launch is using GPT-4 to be a Socratic method educator. Teachers, not all, but many teachers really, really love this. They say it's totally changing the way I teach my students.
It's basically the new office hours.
Yeah, it's a different thing, but it is a new way to supplement learning for sure.
This was a huge question, right? Dealing with directly asking the guy that created it, what does ChatGPT mean for education? He answered it fairly well. Some of it he completely just sort of brushed off, but there is lots going on there. And his answer really hit home when he stated that, hey, education is going to have to change. Education is going to have to adapt. And that's exactly right. Even if we don't really want to change, right? Some of us want to like the way it is, and that's understandable, but there is going to have to be some adaptation. We have to realize that that tool is out there. Now, that doesn't mean that we just totally give in and sure, students just use ChatGPT for everything. No, it has to be a nuanced approach. We have to think it through. When is it appropriate for the student to use ChatGPT or some other AI? And we have to be accepting of that. We have to understand that they should be using AI for certain things in certain parts. We need to ensure that they have the skills mastery, the fundamental skills of the topic, but then they also need to have the skills of working effectively with the AI. That's hard for some of us to listen to, for some of us to believe in, but this is the new reality. In the same way, it's become kind of a crude analogy, right? The calculator, because a calculator isn't creating an entire essay, it's just computing, but there is some benefit to looking at that. There were plenty of people that didn't want calculators in academia. They need to all be able to do it in their head or write it all out. But of course, now we see that we can do so much more by using an assistive tool. We still need to have those fundamental skills, but we can do so much more. So it's really going to come to us to see where are the benefits and where are the issues that we need to address, because there are definitely lots of benefits and there are some issues that we need to look into. We don't want the students to always use it for essay writing if we're teaching them essay writing. But if we have another class where the actual process of writing the essay, that's not what we're assessing. We're assessing them to be able to use the information, to apply it in different ways. So again, we have to understand what is it that we're properly assessing and how are we going to do that. especially using these new tools. So that's something to really think about. He talked about some of the different benefits that this ChatGPT is bringing us, such as individualized learning, scaffolding, the ability for the student to learn things, or for the instructor to say, oh, ask ChatGPT, they can assist you with this. But again, that needs to be done properly with the right prompts. And again, ensuring that they have that AI literacy so the student doesn't just over rely on it or just take it for granted that it's the correct answer. So all these things come into play with using it properly. Do we have all the answers yet? No. We need to continue to talk about this. We need to continue to develop, to research it. We need to have this community of inquiry. We need to ask each other, watch these videos, create these videos, interact so that we can learn from each other. That's going to be key so that we can develop together. And remember, learning is for life.